what's going on, everyone? So recently, Deadpool and Wolverine just dropped, and not gonna lie, this was one of my most hyped movies. But going into it, I really didn't know what to expect. I was talking to Sterling about it. Actually, this movie was actually like one of the recent movies that was actually just filled with surprises. So here we're just gonna talk about what our thoughts, kind of good, bad, just what we thought of the movie.
Go
All
ahead.
right. Appreciate it, man. All right. So, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I walked out low key feeling a little bit indifferent about it because there was so much that I liked about it, but there was just something in the back of my mind saying that it it's not all the way perfect. But I would tell you the good things about it for me was definitely the action, definitely the chemistry between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. I think Ryan Reynolds does a great job. He tries to go in a more serious route, but it does kind of feel like there's a joke waiting around the corner. But Hugh Jackman, he's just as great as ever. I don't think this is his best performance as Wolverine, but I definitely believe that he's is up there. Like it's definitely right there next to Logan, of course. And I love the fact that they pay tribute to the earlier Marvel films that kind of paved the way for the MCU because without those films, the MCU wouldn't be as popular as it is today. It wouldn't be the highest grossing film franchise ever created. And I love the fact that they kind of just paid tribute to those films that were so like influential to my childhood. And
Yeah, one thing
those are my good
I
on
gotta
the
agree with you
understanders.
on is the freaking combat. Like it was actually like from that first fight that just opened up
Dude,
the movie. Like, geez, it was insane. Like, it's
Incredible
like
opening.
you know how we always love the action. It's just when the camera is stationary. It doesn't have to be stationary. They got no shaky cam, no blur, and we can actually see everything that's going on. And like, I'm really surprised. Like, they really took this R rating to the extreme, and that was one of like the biggest worries going into Deadpool being part of the MCU. But like, yeah, they really took it to the extreme. It was just great, especially that like first fight between Logan and Deadpool. Just like when Wolverine like starts crawling on the ground and like he does like the spin move that's like always in games, and then especially that car fight near the end where it's just like fast tracking time and like Deadpool's all just tied up. It was just great. Like action's usually not like one thing you point out for Marvel, but in this movie it was one of the highlights.
bro, I legit have that song stuck in my head all weekend and I can't get it out.
Bye bye bye.
That one scene, honestly, the combat is probably the best out of any of the Deadpool films. And I just love how they really leaned into being gory. Like immediately, even though this is his first MCU debut, they were like
Mhm.
not pulling their punches, showing you this is R rated. We're finna like go crazy.
Yeah, dude, like Marvel was behind the entire team the entire time. Ryan Reynolds said almost 2 years ago, Marvel Studios is backing them on almost every decision except for cocaine. Like every decision that they wanted to make inside of this film, they got the green light to do, except for cocaine. And I felt
Mhm.
like that was perfect. It was perfect for making Deadpool feel like a seamless transition into the MCU, but also it still felt like Deadpool to me. It still felt in line with the other two films. And I mean, I got to tell you, the way that they bring him inside of the MCU it's borderline perfect for me because it doesn't feel like he's different. He just feels like he's right at home. A lot of these characters that pop up inside of this film. I mean, you're talking about Blade, Gambit. I mean, Elektra. They feel right at home, and I I just loved all of it. All of that stuff. I loved all
Yeah,
of that
about the
stuff.
characters,
I
I
mean,
think I think I've said it before that well to you I said it before that this movie I think just the best out of this recent trend of multiverse movies with cameos back and forth. This was like one of the movies that really made cameos feel like they're not cameos. Like these are actual, these aren't just point and look and you see in moments. Like these are like, oh, we see Blade from back then, now he's gone. No, all of these characters like they're intertwined with the story and the plot and Deadpool and just the whole movie is really just about, like you said, the legacy of these characters that came before Marvel. And it was just, I think it was really the best thing they could have done instead of Marvel's usual history of just pretending these movies don't exist. No, I think it's best that they really did acknowledge these movies and really what, like you said, laid the groundwork for the MCU to be what it is today. Even if not all the movies are amazing and not all of them are good, those movies still really paved the way for these comic book movies.
they still matter. And plus, it was the start of Kevin Feige's career. I mean, Kevin Feige wouldn't be the most like profitable producer today if it wasn't for that first X-Men film. I mean, a lot of people talk about, Spider-Man and X-Men were like the first films to really take the comic book movie genre to its big boom. But also, you got to incorporate Blade in there as well. You got to incorporate a Daredevil, Elektra, like all Fantastic Four,
Exactly.
films that were not detrimental, but influential to our childhood.
Exactly.
I
Like
mean,
before I had seen
they
the
play
stuff like
tribute
Iron
to
Man.
that.
Before I had seen stuff like Iron Man, it was just watching stuff like Ghost Rider, Fantastic Four, X-Men.
Yeah,
Like all these
because
movies
that's
were
all we
there
had.
first. I was playing Lego Marvel
That's
superheroes,
literally
running
all we
around as
had.
Wolverine. Like these are the period that introduced these characters.
Yeah,
Do
like
you
Loki
think
is.
do
Oh,
you
keep
think
going.
those cameos are gonna like move forward?
No,
Because I know that no, you don't believe
no.
that. So you think the
If
I
only
don't.
one that's gonna come
everyone
back
that
is X
appeared in
23?
everyone that appeared in this movie, I think this is good. Like their stories have been complete. Like there's nothing more that you
I
really need to tell. There's nothing like unless you want to like bring back Gambit, but I feel like he was good enough for what he was in. Like Blade was good enough.
I,
We don't need to bring them back.
I would say Elektra.
Yeah,
She wouldn't.
I
I
guess that
don't
makes
think
sense.
Elektra would come back.
Okay.
I think Laura. There's a chance that she could. Blade. If they want to go like really cheesy, they'll have Blade be like the new Blade's grandfather or something. I don't know, bro. I was just brainstorming ideas to how they can bring back Wesley Snipes. And in
I would.
terms of Channing Tatum as Gambit, the accent was silly. Like it's funny. It's good in the movie. It's
Yeah,
good as a joke in Deadpool 3. I don't want to hear
dude,
that accent for the entire film. Like
it
so
it was really funny, but like being dead serious, I could not understand half the things he was actually saying.
yeah,
And
like
people next to me were laughing at him, and I was like, "Why are you laughing? What did he even say?" Like I
like
genuinely couldn't.
it's a funny accent. I don't want to see that accent for another 2 hours. Like it's fun. It's a good novelty to see inside of this movie. But
Also,
yeah,
this is like kind of off, not really off script, but question. So like we know Deadpool can like go between universes and stuff.
mm,
Is his Fox universe just gonna stay existing, or is he just gonna jump between them whenever?
he may just jump between them whenever. I mean, he's still in his universe. He's still in the Fox universe
I
right
know,
now.
but the thing is if they plan on
Right.
having these other characters come back, are they just gonna make them universe hop too?
It's just well, they're together. I think Fox doesn't really exist anymore in terms of everything that just happens for is just all part of this broader MCU multiverse. So if they
Yeah,
do bring him
he's
back,
just
next
not
time
in
we'll
the
see him in
sacred
the
timeline
sequels,
right now.
he's in his own variant timeline. Basically just
Yeah,
another
he's
Earth.
just not in the secret timeline, but he's in the MCU, just in like JP said, a different timeline in the MCU.
Do y'all think out of all the three Deadpool films, do you think this is the best one?
Easily. This is easily the best. That first
Yeah,
Deadpool
I
is
agree. I agree,
iconic.
dude.
The
This
first
one.
Deadpool is iconic. But I think this movie really handled the nice balance between comedic Deadpool and then serious Deadpool. Like at the
And then
movie's
also
core,
like comic Deadpool.
yeah, at the movie's core, this really is just about Deadpool, like it's trying to matter, like in the beginning. And then he tried to do that last movie with X-Force, but I really like how this movie really didn't just cheap out and just have it. Okay, Deadpool's MCU now. Forget about everything. No, this Deadpool actually cared about saving his friends more than wanting to be part of the Avengers. So I would say that this is probably the best Deadpool movie in terms of the ones we have gotten so far.
Um, I'd say I'd say I still like the first one more. I think this is
Yeah.
probably the funniest Deadpool movie. It is definitely the funniest, the best action and stuff. But in terms of just, I mean, Deadpool 1 is just a small personal story. It's a revenge plot. It's funny. It's heartwarming. It's hilarious. I mean, dude, everything about Deadpool 1 just had the sauce. And also, it didn't, even though this film doesn't fit into a larger universe, this film is so big and bold. I I rather prefer the first film, but I think this one is a close runner up. Um, I just like the first movie more. I mean, that was my introduction into Deadpool. That was yeah, I just love the first Deadpool film so much. And I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine is great, but for me, it just can't top the first one. Unfortunately, I
Interesting.
like the
Interesting.
story of one more.
All right.
But
So
We can.
let's talk about
there's
let's
some negatives. You guys got some negatives?
Yeah, I think the
Negatives.
villain
That
was pretty
third act.
underutilized. For me, the villain
You
was
said the
pretty
villain?
underutilized, but the parts that she was used was
Mm.
great. But like, she's really not even the
Felt like a
main
violation,
villain.
her powers.
Yes, like her, I think it's great. It's a great interpretation of that whole mind reading thing, and she was great. She was great for
Incredible
the
use
parts
of
she
her
was in.
powers.
I just wish she was kind of in the movie more, because the movie is really the whole enemy is like the kind of the TV. I don't know. This it's kind of
Paradox.
hard. Yes, this movie doesn't really have a central villain.
Honestly,
It's just like two side villains. So I wish she was kind of
I
used
really didn't
more.
like. I really didn't like how Cassandra went from being villain, and saving the villain, and then she's not a villain anymore, then back to being a villain again. I didn't. That it just kind of confused me a little bit. I was like, what was the point of that? Was it just for like
Well,
plot to
Oh,
learn
she
they
was
about her
well,
definitely a
more?
villain the whole
well
time.
Wolverine and Deadpool weren't a threat to her anymore. They just weren't a threat. But Paradox broke their agreement. Okay, well I'm going after you now. That's kind of how that worked. But like you said at the beginning, Davis, it went on too long. I remember me and you walked out and we were like, yeah, the third act went on a little bit too long. The final battle is a battle between 100 freaking Deadpools. It's fun. It's cool to see Wolverine and Deadpool slash through different Deadpools. It's a gag because they ended off with
I
Peter
mean,
coming in.
yeah, that
Gag.
is true, but also I disagree with that because that is literally like that is the most Deadpool thing that this film probably has. Fucking Deadpool and Wolverine murdering a whole bunch of other Deadpools. That's the most like comic Deadpool thing that I can even think of.
Not
It
disagreeing with
just
that.
makes sense.
I'm just saying
Sure, as a film standpoint, it does
gag.
make sense. It went on too long, and also literally had nothing to do with Cassandra Nova, other than I guess she got them to go fight Deadpool and Wolverine. But I guess I agree with that. And honestly, I think the ending, them holding hands, was just kind of cheesy.
They held hands at the ending.
No, they held hands when they were shutting down the Time Ripper.
Oh, the Time Ripper, the Time Ripper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot what the name of that whole machine
Yeah,
was.
me too, dude. I
And
just I literally
in terms of plot and story, I forgot what it was. Is to me the plot and story is just not that strong, honestly.
I gotta
But
disagree
I
with
mean,
that, but
it is what it
it is
is.
what it is. Like you say, it is what it is. My other last really big complaint, because I mean, I really don't agree with y'all on the whole third act thing. I thought third act was great, but my last thing, I wish we would have got some more into this other Wolverine's history. Like I wish maybe not really flashbacks because flashbacks are kind of cheesy, but you know, it's show don't tell. Like we hear a lot about what went wrong with what went wrong with his universe, and how he's the worst. And we get some good moments through his exposition with X-23. But I just wish we could have got just a little bit more, and just to see what this kind of worst X-Men's life, worst Wolverine's life was like. But other than that, that's really all my complaints. I thought it was a really stand up movie. Like it was really, I thought it was great.
actually
It's, it's,
I did have one more thing. Bro, that Wolverine CGI. Bro,
oh, at the end,
I was
I
peeping that in the theater, dude. I
I
never
didn't
thought I
peep
would
it in
realize that.
theater. I didn't
Dude,
peep it in
dude,
theater, but later
because I was
I'm looking at it, I'm
staring at
like,
him.
yo,
I
this
was
is kind of
staring. I
bouncy.
was watching him the whole time. He just looked like an AI, bro. Like he was looking left or right, like a GTA character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it
I
was
didn't peep
too
that in the
much.
theater. I no, number one, I was paying more attention to the joke. The joke that is like Deadpool flops and he just gets right back. Like I was like, bro, we could have just landed the superhero landing, bro. I feel like it would have just been cooler to land a superhero landing. I get it, it's a joke, it's funny. I just wish they would have landed a superhero landing. Also, JP, on your the way that you said that you wish that you would have seen more Wolverine, I feel as though like not I'm kind of disagreeing with you, but not really. I kind of feel as though we understand because Hugh Jackman's performance is so great that we can clearly understand that what happened is bad enough. And also, I don't think seeing Wolverine just slash and murder a bunch of good and bad people would
Well,
have
that's not necessary. That's
promoted
not what
this
I was saying.
idea
I wish
even
we could
more.
have seen how he was in relation to his other X-Men. Because if you
Mm.
really think we had like yeah, we get it in the X-Men movies, but I would really would have love to see, like it's been so long since we've seen Wolverine interact with other X-Men, and it's like be part of a team. So I wish we could have seen what the universe was like with them trying to get him to be part of the team, and then he wasn't there when they needed him most. But I don't want to see another just bloodbath. I
I'm
just
sure,
wish
but then
we
again,
could have got some
that
more
would
of
have been
his
like
history.
that would have been like way more runtime. And then, but also, I do think that maybe they should have like popped in maybe an X-Men scene, like him talking to one or two of them, maybe. But they wanted to keep that runtime, nice little 2 hours.
I wish we seen
Um,
more classical X-Men characters, honestly.
yeah, I mean, I get it, but the thing is they're getting ready to, make something new out of the X-Men, so
Mm.
they probably don't want to just waste their energy on. They're already showing off all these old things and bringing
Yeah,
them back to the new. So I feel like they just had to kind of pick and choose because we could have gotten the old X-Men, but we might not have gotten like Gambit or Blade because of that.
right. You're right. You're right. Yo, also another thing, right? With the whole anchor being thing, this is gonna be my final talking point. The whole anchor being thing.
And I'm
You
gonna
know, a lot of
respond to
people,
that because I want to talk about that too.
a lot of people on Twitter has been saying like, "Who's the anchor being of the MCU?" I don't think anchor being actually exists, dog. Like,
Yeah,
I
bro.
don't think like it doesn't matter. It's not
Well,
gonna matter after this film, but if it was, it doesn't exist. There's no anchor being.
well, what I saw online and what I really agree with, all these other branched off timelines have an anchor being, but the
Hmm.
what's the main timeline called again?
Sacred.
The sacred timeline doesn't need an anchor being because it is the sacred timeline. Everything
Mm.
else branches off of it, so the sacred timeline doesn't need one.
But see, the thing was though with that is the fact that the anchor being to me doesn't matter because even though Wolverine died in Deadpool's world, his world wasn't gonna go to shit. They like Paradox was gonna prune it. He was gonna prune it because he wanted to get higher up in the TVA. Like that was the whole reason why he was gonna prune it. He wasn't gonna prune it because Wolverine died. That was just an excuse that he made to Deadpool. The world wasn't gonna go to shit. So it's like the anchor being thing. Okay, yeah, cheat a little bit to bring in Deadpool and have him go find another Wolverine, I guess. But it's just anchor beings don't exist in the MCU, and this will never matter at all. That was just my one gripe with it because it made no sense. Like,
I mean, you
why
say that,
introduce this
but
thing,
Kevin Feige himself, is really pushing for the anchor being stuff. I saw that in
bro?
an interview.
Bro, he was really pushing for the Kang stuff, and look what happened.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
so, right?
like, come on, like he's
Bro,
reneged a bunch of
bro,
times.
do you remember? That reminds me of Quantum Mania when Kang had that long monologue about how he killed all those Avengers, just for it to be
And
worth
it,
nothing.
yeah, just for us to have Doomsday next.
And
Anyway,
honestly, I feel like Doctor Doom is better than Kang anyway. So
we'll see, we'll see.
yeah, that was
But
Deadpool. That was pretty good. I liked
that
that
was
film.
Deadpool and Wolverine, man. I really enjoyed it. It's a comic book fan's dream, and definitely a tribute to the films that we as children grew up with, because that's all we had. I mean,
And
all we
it's
had was a
tribute to X
Fantastic
Men.
Four and stuff. Yeah, yeah, it's a big tribute to X-Men. Dude, I had a blast with this movie. It was fun, funny, very enjoyable.